It's the unmistakable voice of Mr. Conor Oberst live in the studios of 89.3 The Current, playing the acoustic guitar and keeping the beat on that one too with his hand on Cape Canaveral, a track from his self-titled release back in 2008. And he's got Ben Broden playing mystical guitar in the background there, sir. And I understand Ben plays the vibes when you guys are doing on stage. So it's this stripped down when you're going to be playing at the Fitzgerald Theater tonight, Conor?
That's right, yeah. It's just kind of a duet style. And Ben here is a jack of all trades, so he plays the piano, the guitar, the vibraphone, backup singing.
Nice.
Supports me emotionally on stage.
Has he been part of any of your projects in the past, or have you guys just got together?
Well, we have a studio, me and my friend Mike Mogus,
Yep.
out in Omaha, and Ben oftentimes engineers and works at the studio.
Right.
That's kind of how we became buds.
Good. So you're still a resident of Omaha, Nebraska, huh?
Yes, I'm kind of dual between there and New York City, so
Yeah?
kind of back and forth.
I was going to say you're one of those artists that's kind of essentially connected to their environment and being such a big part of the Saddle Creek family and kind of all that you guys have done down there. Have you ever needed to move away or wanted to move away, or how do you feel about it as home now?
Well, it's a nice place to come back to.
Yeah.
I think if I was stuck there year round, I'd go a little crazy. But between an apartment in New York and then just touring, it's a nice place to
kind of balances
return to.
out.
Yeah.
Are you still involved with the Saddle Creek label and what they are up to?
Not so much. I mean, we're all friends and friendly, but they not really involved with the label per se.
How is that? Because I went down there to see them one time, but it was right before you guys opened up the venue in downtown. How has that worked out for those guys?
I think it's worked out, great for them. From the time when I was starting out in high school and first playing in bands, Omaha's definitely gone through a growth spurt of a lot of new venues and sort of interest in music and the arts more so than when I was a kid, which is, a good thing.
That is a good thing. We're moving in the right direction. Yeah. And this solo tour, let's talk a little bit about that, because you're just starting it after being on the road a little with your old punk band. And it looks like these are special shows. On Saturday night, you're in Chicago with Van Dyke Parks opening up.
That's right. Yeah, that'll be really cool.
Tell people a little bit about Van Dyke and how he fits into...
Well, that actually, it's part of I'm very excited to play with him, but I didn't have much to do with it. It's part of a series called Brilliant Colors series that they're doing out there in Chicago. I think it runs several weekends in a row, and I haven't seen it, but I've been told it's kind of vaudevillian, it's in some kind of circus tent.
Nice.
And there's comedians and jugglers and fire eaters.
So you didn't have anything. See, I was going into this. I thought, wouldn't it be great if Conor said, "I want to do a solo tour and I want to handpick all the people that support." So that wasn't the case.
For all the rest of the shows, it's sort of our shows. But since it's part of this series, they the promoter kind of put acts together, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Sunday playing in Madison for our Madison peeps, and Tuesday next week, Austin, Texas, with Daniel Johnson.
Yes.
Has Daniel been an inspiration to you?
Absolutely, yeah. He's amazing. So many amazing songs. I had a chance to play with him. Man, it's been 10 years now since.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just one of a kind, amazing songwriter, and yeah, I'm excited for that show.
That's cool. And people wondering whether there's a new album in the works or what you are going to do next recording-wise. Can we break some news that way?
Well, not really any immediate plans, just kind of writing and, these scattered shows. And, so there's no record currently in the works, but I'm sure, sooner than later, hopefully.
Because we always wonder, what's he going to do next? Because you've had so many projects and affiliations, and it kind of is the one kind of project that you've always wanted to do and it's never come off. Does Conor still have a dream project?
Well, it's always nice to collaborate with people. I think that's one of the great things about playing music and making friends. And a lot of times I'll make friends with a musician, and then the next sort of step in the relationship is to consummate it with some recording or something. So yeah, I'm always open to new collaborations and projects, and I mean, I think variety is the spice of life, as they say.
Well, speaking of consummation, this is a great segue into a question I had, because I make a big deal about Valentine's Day. I'm on the evening shift, and we play love songs every Valentine's Day. And First Day of My Life has been one of the biggest vote getters for the past 5 years from your Wide Awake album. And just some of the stories I've had people tell me about that song. First of all, do they tell you stories about that? And is that the one song? If I made you guess which one is the Valentine's Day song, would you have guessed that one?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of it's people's first dance on their wedding. And
exactly.
How
does that feel, man?
It's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's it's weird. That song I don't really. I mean, I still sing it, and I like to sing it, but it doesn't really, more than any other my other songs, it doesn't really feel like it's belongs to me or is like my song anymore. It's kind of like for all those love,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
which is awesome in its own way, totally. Really.
Yeah,
I mean, your music just in general, I think, especially that album, maybe for a certain generation, they have a really personal connection. Does that?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to know that people are out there listening. Because for me, it's obviously it's gotten different over the years, realizing there's an audience out there. But so much of, I think, the process of creating any kind of art or music is you sort of, you make it yourself, and then you kind of send it off, tie it to a balloon and send it off into the universe, and you really have no idea if there's going to be anyone there to receive it on the other end. And when you find out that someone did receive it and it meant something to them, then it makes the whole thing make more sense and seem more worthwhile than just whatever, alone in your head.
Right. And maybe choosing songs for this solo tour, you had to choose which ones are special to you. Is that hard? Are they all kids, or is there an album that still resonates with you that says that's the high point for me?
I would not necessarily an album, but there are ones that have had more staying power, and there are some that just sound better in this sort of environment than some I feel like, oh, they just need drums, and it's weird to play them without drums, basically, or I mean, really just drums, because I mean, we've had so many different configurations, at least for Bright Eyes, that I'm pretty open to interpretations of the songs, but there's some that just kind of need to be louder.
Drums
we can get.
It's Conor Oberst live in the studios of 89.3 The Current with his friend Ben Brodin on grand piano on that beautiful song Lime Tree that ended Casadega, released back in 2007. That was the last song. And before that, The Bottom of Everything, which was the first song on I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning. Which brings me to ask, Conor, do you have trouble putting the songs in the right order, and is that something that's hugely important to you when you make an album?
Yeah, I think sequence is definitely important. By the time it's all said and done, I mean, it goes through different phases along the recording process, but by the time it's all said and done, I usually feel like they're all in the right place.
So that one, Lime Tree, why did it have to end the album? Just that last line where you're just walking off and...
I guess so, yeah. And it's like such a sort of slow, dark one that kind of hard to come back out of it,
Exactly.
Best to just turn off the CD at that point.
Right. Don't put it on repeat then. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
And I'm Wide Awake. Probably the first album for me that really resonated, and I've enjoyed your writing in the past too, because you always seem to be on a journey. I mean, just spiritually, politically, you've obviously been active over the years with your music, and where you are in that journey now in terms of how you feel, what holds your base together spiritually, and what's important to you. Do you think you've come to any conclusions or answers to those questions?
Not really, but I think the day you think you've come to a conclusion is, I think, when you really become an idiot. So I think it's best to keep your eyes peeled and keep looking for new things to inspire. And I don't have any answers, but I'm open. The suggestion box is wide open.
Any activity around the political season? We have an election coming up. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Not really. I haven't been quite as involved as
because it's fair to say in the past you were. I mean, you publicly came out. I think the last election you were very involved. So.
Yes, absolutely, and I'm definitely supporting the president. I hope very much that he gets reelected. I think the alternative is just too horrifying to really wrap my head around. So I guess I've not to be a downer, but I have felt a little disillusioned with all of politics lately, and I don't want to stay like that, because I think it's important to be informed and to participate. I think especially in local elections where you live and in your own town. I think that's where you can really make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So are you going to run for mayor of Omaha at some point? That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Well, you might want to check out my closet, man. It's full of skeletons.
Oh, really? Well, we can get a campaign manager to put them to bed.
Yeah. Speaking
of which, this is a great segue too. You've always had this connection with the Twin Cities, which people asked, like when Desperacidos came through, played at the 400 Bar, and you've had a connection with the 400 Bar. Go right back to the roots. Was that kind of when you used to come up here to see music, or how did that connection with the Twin Cities evolve?
Well, it started with a beautiful gentleman named Bill Sullivan, who is the owner of the 400 Bar.
Yep.
But he was one of the first people outside of Omaha that sort of championed our group of friends, bands. There was Mike Mogus's old band called Lullaby for the Working Class. I think that was the first band that Bill heard and, invited him to come up and play, and actually paid him money, which was, insane at that point.
Right.
And then, just kind of through them met the rest of all the gang in as far as like the Saddle Creek bands. And I met him, and, he was always real good to me when I would come play his bar, and he would promote other shows for me. And then I guess it was right before Lifted, it got to the point where we kind of had to be on a bus, and we had this 14-piece band, and we could no longer just all pile into the van, and we had to sort of get more professional. And I didn't even know this, but I found out later that Bill had been a tour manager for a long time for The Replacements and Soul Asylum. And that was amazing. And he kind of came out of retirement and ended up tour managing Bright Eyes for like the next, 6-7 years.
Which is a great story, because he's such a stalwart of the local music scene, and to hear him kind of reaching out and being a part of your local music scene too is huge. And
we went around, the world many times together, and he's saved my life more than I can count. So, I owe him a lot.
Sweet. Good to give him a shout out, Bill Sullivan from the 400 Bar. Conor Oberst on a solo tour, going to play a show this evening at the Fitzgerald Theatre with Mary Lucia. And if you're listening in other parts of America, there's some big shows coming up, including Carnegie Hall. Have you ever done Carnegie Hall, Conor?
I played once as part of a Tibet house concert.
Yeah.
But just a couple songs. And so this is my own show. So
wow, well, congratulations on playing Carnegie Hall. We've got to get you over to the Fitzgerald Theatre, so I've got to say thanks to Lindsay Kimball for producing today and Michael DeMarc for engineering. And we're going to get one more song, which I believe is a new one. And I saw you played this at the Newport Folk Festival, and another big gig for you. Was that something, just in terms of the name of the thing?
Yeah, that's a great festival. I had a lot of fun that weekend.
Yes.
A lot of friends, and it's pretty wild.
I saw and is that right? You played the kids stage at the...
Yeah, which was cool.
You like playing kids shows?
I mean, I haven't played too many, but I learned what one do we do, Ben? Brett Brown's
Speckled Frogs.
The Speckled Frogs song,
6 green speckled,
which involves a little bit of math, so it was difficult for me. But
I'll have to Google that one. Is that on the web somewhere? This one is it's a track called "You Are Your Mother's Child," and it hasn't been recorded officially yet, or it's on a new
I recorded
project.
it,
Yeah,
but it's gonna. I wrote it for this movie called Writers, which is coming out next year, and
is it about writers? Is it a fiction or
it's a sort of a story of a family. The father's sort of this famous author, and it's kind of this story of his dysfunctional relationship with his wife and children. So
sweet?
it's kind of a sentimental song, which I'd like to apologize for, but it's a good movie. And Mike and Nate, the other guys in Bright Eyes, they did all the score for the movie.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of, they've been doing a lot of that more lately, and they're really good at it. So
Sweet. It's Conor Oberst live on 89.3 The Current with "You Are Your Mother's Child."